Inside the Birds is back. What's up, everybody? It's Geoff, Mosher, Adam, Caplan. And let me first warn everybody, this is kind of a dangerous time for me and Adam to be doing a podcast because, like, literally in the 35, 45, or 50, and sometimes more minutes, Adam, of us doing this, there could be like 6 or 7 signings that either directly impact the Eagles, may involve the Eagles, don't involve the Eagles, but are pretty interesting on their face value, can change the balance of power in the NFC East. Who knows what's going on? But we're going to try to get through this. Hopefully nothing explosive happens in the middle, and we can kind of summarize what's going on. So
we'll do an emergency. We'll do an emergency this week. If something happened that we think is worth it, we'll do it. We're only going to do. We're not going to waste your time, folks. If it's something major involving your Eagles, we're going to do emergency podcasts. That's what we do. But there's no point in doing it if it's not major. That's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah, I guess.
Right?
What would be major? Like, what is a backup quarterback major? Like,
no. I mean, Ertz is going to be traded. So it's just a matter of when, not if. That's not major because we're expecting it. The quarterback moves, that's major. That stop the presses, that's major. You know, we did it. We did that.
We did.
So, and we'll get into that.
Sure. Well, like I say, we'll get into quarterback moves today. Obviously, Carson Wentz, we'll get into him a little bit. We've got some free agency moves that we can talk about. It's going to be a mishmash of a bunch of things going on with the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
There's plenty. We got plenty. It's going to take up a lot of our time here.
Absolutely. So, everybody knows about the show Q&A. Check that out. It's out. It was great. It's being well received again. I really liked. A lot of people are talking about, Adam, how they shared their experiences with free agency, which were very awesome stories and unique to their own. The last 20 minutes, they went through some pretty good breakdowns on players. And, Jason Avant, for example, saying that he feels the Eagles should avoid a guy like Kenny Golladay. And he really went into depth about – Jason does a lot of studying. I don't think people realize how much knowledge he has of the current league. He went into a catch radius and catch percentage type of explanation of how some receivers do very well because they're high volume, they're targeted more, and then others are more efficient. They may not be targeted 8 or 9 times a game, but they catch everything around them. Jason Avant was kind of like that. High volume, not a high volume receiver, but caught everything around him. And he felt that Golladay was a good receiver, but not the type of guy who makes the game-changing type of catches. Like he does certain things well, but not everything well. So he called him more of like a 2 than a 1 or a 1A, which I thought was pretty interesting. And he actually used the word fool's gold at one point because I think he's assuming Kenny's going to sign somewhere for a lot of money.
No, he's not coming to Philly. Yeah, he was never.
No, not to Philly.
On the Eagles' radar. Yeah,
Yeah.
Plus, he missed 11 games last season. He's been one of my favorite players. Great story as a mid-round pick for the Lions, and he had a hip injury last season. What I was told was that there was a point they thought he was going to come back. Then he had a setback in his rehab with his hip injury, so they just shut him down for the rest of the season. He should be fine. But it was reported by NFL Network that he's going to visit. Well, as you know, Geoff, teams usually don't have players in for visits anymore. It's just like they agree to a deal, or the agent gets the deal done, they agree to it. But he's going to visit, and I'm sure part of it is because of the physical. They want to make sure the hip's good, and good player though, really good, really good player, solid football player, and a true X. Boy, they need an X. Boy, did they miss on Golden Tate. That's just great contract for the player, but the team, the duplication of roles. Remember, it's Sterling Shepard and Tate play the slot. I never understood that move. Never did.
It's one of those moves, Adam, that almost everyone, especially us in Philly, who saw how difficult it was just to be able to get Nelson Aguilar and Golden Tate on the field at the same time. Oh, yeah. It's kind of crazy when media and fans instantaneously can say that doesn't seem like such a good move, and yet executives who are paid a lot more to know more than us go out there and not just make the move, but give so much money to an obvious fit that's not there. I mean, but I agree with you. If you can put Kenny Golladay on the field with Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard, and we'll see what they do with Evan Ingram, and let that develop, that could be something special. On the flip side, Adam, Washington making moves, right? They bring in the cornerback William Jackson after losing Darby. They sign Ryan Fitzpatrick, who kills the Eagles.
That's right. Oh my God. Let me tell you something. I had heard from an Eagle source, this is going back, 2 years ago? Jeffrey Lurie was super pissed off, or whatever, I don't know how else to say it. He was not happy, let's say. And it was an awful loss. The loss at Miami.
Oh, yeah.
They blow a big lead? I know they gave the defense was horrendous.
I don't think they had an early lead, but I don't think it was huge.
They gave a lot of points, and I just heard Jeffrey was not happy. Okay. Who the hell would be? But that was a brutal loss, and that was the picket fence game. People were killed. The Twitter lit up. That was when Schwartz, he had the picket fence defense. They still got smoked. Anyway.
By the way, that was another subject that came up during Q&A where Quentin had some really good, not just like complaining about it, but explaining how he didn't even think that they played the picket defense the right way that you're supposed to play the picket.
I got to hear this.
Defense.
It is a long show. I'm about 25 minutes in. It's sort of longest show. It's almost, I think it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's about that.
It's funny, the comments when I was removing the spam. Man, what is with the spam? Anyway,
this minute of spam complaining has been brought to you
exactly,
by
right,
spam.
Right. True. This Russian spam.
I love that you automatically. How do you know it's not Iranian spam?
I think it's hieroglyphics.
Could be French spam.
I was a French guy for 4 years, man. I used to, I didn't show it to my freshman French class in college, and I aced it. Because this is when you would sort of not tell the truth whether you were an advanced in the foreign language. And I didn't even I should know when the exams were and I'd show up. I love French. I wish I would have done it.
Do you think Abdul the butcher took French?
It's so funny. Larry Shreve is from I think North Carolina, and he was just supposedly from the Sudan. Yeah. And the funny thing is, because wrestlers aren't supposed to break character, he would never really talk. Or didn't talk a lot, but anyway, I digress on it. I'm saving a wrestling story for May, by the way. I can't. We need to get back to what we do. But
can't wait.
I'm gonna give you folks this, and I kind of laughed at the comments. Oh, that was great. They love you, Geoff, man. They said, forget my story. It was you. They lost it watching you laugh.
Because they all felt like me listening to your story. They were all ready to drive off a road.
Right. But this one, I have to set it up because this, folks, you have to see it on YouTube because I'm going to have to show you my reaction to something that happened when I was asked to do something. I had to take care of an errand for some wrestlers, actually for the company I was working for, and my reaction to what I went up seeing. You won't even believe it when I do it. I'm going to set it up. I do have some acting experience, very little though.
We know about that.
We'll save that for May. But so anyway, this Q&A show is unbelievable. Oh my God, we're so lucky to have Q and Jay.
Right.
Oh God, thank you so much, guys.
So taking it back though, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, William Jackson, and then late last night they signed Curtis Samuel, who will add some explosion to that offense, which they badly needed. Looks like Washington is starting to become a threat. I said at the end of the year, the defense is there, the running game is there. All they need is a little bit more of speed and reliable quarterback play.
Yeah, they need a left tackle. They need 2 offensive line, but I'll tell you what, Scott Turner did a great job. Their OC, North Sun. You get Samuel in, who will probably be their slot receiver, buddy. He's, as you said, he's a gadget guy. McLaurin was their X, but he's a little bit smaller than you'd like as an X. They need a bigger receiver opposite him.
Right.
And Gibson is their running back. Had a really nice rookie season converting to running back. Not easy to do. Did a good job. He'll only be better in year 2. You're right, man. You nailed it. There, to me, and with Fitzpatrick there, the Bears. I know the Bears were one of 3 or 4 teams to seriously consider him. Obviously the Bears wound up wanting Dalton Moore, but the issue with Fitzpatrick is Fitzmagic versus Fitztragic.
Yes.
Which one are you getting? He was really good last season, but man, for Curtis Samuel, I mean, $11.5 million a year. Holy smokers! Wow.
Yeah, that's some
The
that's
big
some
deal.
cash right there. That is a big deal, and that's what free agency is all about. Look, we're going to talk about that because that applies. I know people are frustrated watching the Eagles. I think the Eagles are the only team in the NFL, Adam, that has not agreed to terms with at least one outside free agent. Is that accurate?
Yes.
As we record this?
Yeah. I mean, as you hear this Thursday morning, we're going to get into the quarterback situation because I've updated information. But this was really the Eagles' plan. But what I could tell you though is they're going to wind up doing something depending on which players are released. I'm gonna stick with this. They're still going to wind up by the time, let's say, training camp starts. They're still going to get 3 to 5 street free agents, whether they're UFAs, guys with expiring contracts, or guys who are cut, veterans who are cut. They're going to do it. That's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. Again, folks, I can't implore you enough with this. Free agency goes on for months. I know you want action. I get it. Fans love action. It's just you got to be careful with that stuff. I don't want to say they got lucky in 17. They obviously did a great job of evaluation. Free agency is fool's gold, man. They've also got burned in free agency for Stacey Andrews. We could go through the list of busts, free agents and busts for them over the decades. But for the most part, Roseman's really done a good job in free agency. But I think he's doing a smart thing in waiting here. Mm-hmm. And we'll see what they do. I still think they're going to wind up getting some guys who fit the what's the guy's the D quarter's name? John Gannon.
John Gannon. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. So the two things that stick out to me so far is if the Eagles have shown, just like last year with Javon Hargrave, that they're willing to make a big financial payout in free agency to someone who's young on a second contract, really fits their scheme, somebody that's going to be on the team and do what they do, as opposed to kind of their past ways, right? But what sticks out to me is, Adam, like the 5 guys right now who've gotten the most money really don't fit what the Eagles do. Corey Linsley's a center, so he goes to the Chargers. Obviously, they're not going to invest heavily at center. The 2 pass rushers that got the highest paid money so far have been Bud Dupree and Leonard Floyd, I believe. Now, Trey Hendrickson also got a lot of money.
Big 1-year deal. Yeah.
It's kind of more of a 1-year deal, right? He's kind of a 1-year wonder, so you can understand the Eagles not doing that. And then the other 2 guys just don't fit it. They're 3-4 outside linebackers. They're not what the Eagles do, right?
Yeah, and Ngakoue is a guy the Eagles actually liked last year. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say they considered. Let's just say they looked at it, but the money was way too much. Last year he was wanting about $20 million per season. Didn't have a great season. His money went down to like 13 or 13 and a half he's getting over 2 years. And but anyway, so look, free agency, you got to be careful. I understand the fans' passion. I saw what's out there on social media. But the smart Eagle fan knows that, who really knows football, and there are a lot of them that follow us. They know you got to be careful with this stuff. You got to be judicious with these signings. You can't sign everybody. You got to sign the right guys that fit your scheme. And they have a new coaching staff. And that's the other thing with the communication between the front office with the coaches, who fits and who doesn't. Plus, they have now 11 draft picks. We're going to get into that. There's some transactions the Eagles made on Wednesday, actually Wednesday evening, which we'll get into. And now they have 11 picks. Who knew?
I know. How about that? So, yeah, the 5th guy, by the way, Joe Tooney, an offensive guard. Again, not somebody the Eagles were going to invest heavily in. I think it's fair to wonder, though, because they've had success in the past with a Hargrave or a McLeod or a Brandon Brooks, like the young second contract guy, why they may not have gotten into the ring on a cornerback or who's moved like a guy like William Jackson or somebody else. But again, we don't know their evaluations of these guys. So I can question it, but I have no idea what the scouting staff or what the coaching staff thinks of certain guys who are changing laundry right now.
Right. And the thing is that they were so tight. They're under the cap, obviously, and they're okay. Mm-hmm. They're not great cap shape. Remember, you're going to need somewhere between $5 and $9 million to sign your rookies.
Right.
That's the first thing. So you have to have that money. Now they'll recalculate everything. Obviously, the hope now is that we've gotten to free agency that Ertz will be able to be moved soon. So they'll create even more cap space. But anyway, it was your typical event, not eventful. First couple of days of free agency, the big guys went off the board as usual. Free agency does not start on Wednesday; it starts on Monday. It's the top part of free agency is done by the time we get to 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. I find that comical. They went off the board on Monday and Tuesday.
Happy New Year! It's like exactly. It already started.
Right.
All right, let's get into some Eagles angle here. Carson Wentz, first of all, the trade was consummated. It's official. He's there. I really chuckled a little bit at the way the Eagles released the information as the way the Colts released the information, because the Eagles are calling it a conditional first and the Colts are calling it a conditional second. So a little fun gamesmanship on that. But that's all right.
Ballard's, Chris Ballard is funny. When he lost out on Josh McDaniels, that craziness, they actually announced it that he was their coach, and then Josh backed out. Ballard in his press conference, this is like him. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Sometimes he says stuff he probably shouldn't say. He goes, "The rivalry's back on," and he walked off.
Mm-hmm.
With the Patriots, the Colts and Patriots. Remember the
whistleblowers,
Deflategate. Yeah. Yep. So I just thought it was funny, and as you bring this up, I just think it's funny that both teams did this. I don't know. I just thought that was funny that the Eagles and Colts had a different way of looking at that condition. So anyway.
Sure. But it does tell you what the Eagles expect of Carson Wentz. I mean, it sounds like they know, or they at least expect, that he's going to go there and play pretty well. Howie, they all released nice statements. They released a tribute. We got to call a little bit of, BS where it is. Part of how, I believe it was either Howie or Jeffrey's comment, talked about the ability to have cap flexibility because they moved Carson Wentz. Well, I thought when they signed him to a long-term deal that they were getting cap flexibility, because by year 2 and year 3, his $24 million against a cap number was supposed to pale in comparison to someone like Dak Prescott, who will be, 30 to 40 against the cap. But nonetheless, we know that they can't really come out and tell the truth. But here's another strange thing, Adam. Some people think we're making too big of a deal of it. I think there's something to be made of it. The Colts are not going to allow Philadelphia reporters onto the Zoom to ask any questions. And I think that's a little, I don't know if, I would love to know if that was Carson's demand or if the Colts just simply were like, we're shutting this down. We're not turning this into a negative press conference.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm disappointed because he didn't talk to the media.
Agree.
In December, after he got benched, it kind of stinks. Would have loved to have heard Carson. Not that what's he really going to say, but it's the fact that we know the media what they're going to go for. I mean, they got to do their job. They're going to ask what happened. Why did you want out? And the Colts media now they're a much smaller contingent. They're not even half of the Eagles contingent.
Oh my God. Not even a fourth, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know all those guys, man. You do too. Sure. I mean, they're a great guy. Mike Wells, who I work with at ESPN, and the rest of the guys there. But I do wonder, and I wonder what he's going to say if he's asked the right questions. Does he? Because again, Carson, as you know, publicly is always diplomatic, always says the right thing, but he wanted out. So I do wonder if he'll even address it, why he wanted out. Who knows? But I would love to know what his feelings were. I wish he would go on the record, because the fact that all these reports came out about his feelings. I mean, come on, man, go on the record and say why you wanted out. But hey.
And I also think like this doesn't help his image of being a guy who can't take hard coaching or criticism, or is hard-headed and only wants it one way. If you can walk the walk, make the money, be the franchise quarterback, but can't, for 20 minutes give rehearsed answers to tough questions, then what is that? So that's why, and I'm not saying this is what I know is going on in his head. I don't know if it's a Colts decision or a Carson Wentz decision.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is Carson is certainly complicit in it. It doesn't seem to be fighting it. It's not making it happen.
No, why would he want it? But why would he want to do it? Like,
I mean, because at some point you just have to man up and answer the questions. Like,
I agree, but
I'll give you a great example. Give you a great example.
Right.
When Donovan McNabb got traded to Washington, a bunch of Eagles reporters, I wasn't able to at the time, a bunch of Eagles reporters went down to the introductory press conference. And the Washington PR team, which at the time was not very well reputed, did everything possible to give the microphone to non-Philadelphia reporters. And it started to get very frustrating to the Eagles reporters. I know Jeff McClain was there, Reuben Frank was there. They were getting frustrated. They felt like they were being, almost
Ooh,
blackballed from asking a question.
yeah.
So typical Philly style, they just started shouting out
I
questions.
love that.
And you know what? Donovan answered them. Donovan knew, like, he was in this market. He knows the reporters got to ask the question.
Let me ask you a question, because you were on the beat then. Did he have a good relationship with the Philly media? I thought he did, but
Well,
fans, I know fan base was up and down with him, but did good, hot and cold? Like, what was his relationship with the media, Donovan?
Yeah, well, I mean, Donovan had a thing for being passive aggressive at times. So
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There were times where he was like really cool and chummy with you, and times where he wasn't. So I mean, I never felt like I had a like a personal relationship with Donovan, or I could like pull him aside and ask him a question. I would have to have it like arranged. But when Michael Vick became the quarterback, I found him to be a lot more personable, very willing to answer the extra question, even if he was there for a while. There were a couple of times I asked Mike if I could just walk with him for a minute, just to ask him questions that I didn't want other reporters asked, and he would acquiesce. I found Mike to be much more open and agreeable, and that to be consistent. Not like one day, sure, he could be moody. Every quarterback's moody because they go through bad stretches. But in general, like, Mike treated you a little bit more like you guys both, like, we both put our pants on the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get up in the day, you get dressed.
Yep.
Like, you're just like
Yep.
me.
I got you.
I always appreciated that about Michael Vick. But I had no ill will toward Donovan. He was just a different type of guy. But like I said, he answered. He saw the Eagles contingent there. He knew they made the drive. He answered the questions. Donovan was never afraid to answer tough questions.
It's. I agree with you. Before we move on here, I'm disappointed. He really should have. He should have done an interview. I mean, but better, more here, as you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
He really should have done it. The Philly media should have been allowed in this press conference. Really, it's corny. It's not right.
I mean, it is a Zoom. I get that, it's different, but
yeah. It's disappointing. I would have loved to have heard him. We'll see what he says to the Colts media. So the trade's now official. Right. $25.4 million goes to the Colts. The Eagles are not responsible for in cash and cap, but they take the dead money hit, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. $33.8 million. These dead money charges, man. I swear we're going to have to do another dead money show. We're not going to have a choice in May or June. We're going to do another one. They did so many restructures, Geoff. I can't keep track. There's so much future dead money. Oh my God, these dummy years. Oh my God.
Did I tell you my favorite hypocritical statement I hear about the dead money?
Yeah.
And the cap?
Yeah.
My favorite hypocritical thing is when I hear people say it's okay if they have a lot of dead money because the cap is going up so much that it doesn't matter. But then when Dak Prescott signed his deal with the Cowboys, a lot of Eagles fans were like, oh my God, I'd never want to be in bed with Dak Prescott for $40 million. And my thought process, well, why not? The Cowboys could get out of it after 1 year and absorb the dead money if they want, because the cap's going up. It's who cares, right? Like, you don't apply the same theory to the team you hate, to the team you root for. I get it. That's part of being a fan, but there's a little bit of hypocrisy.
Yeah, they're not. Trust me, they're not. Yeah, even if he had the worst year in NFL history quarterback, they're not going to absorb over $72 million in dead money. Yeah.
No.
So anyway, yeah, so look, it got done. The Wentz trade is official. It's still one of the most bizarre situations in Philadelphia sports history. Probably the biggest on-the-field sports tragedy. This never should have happened. Both sides are at fault in this situation. I couldn't even tell you who's at fault here. It's pathetic that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Disappoints me. The guy this gifted. And it's not, as you know, there's no guarantee that he's going to be good again. Who knows? I mean, he got out of here. He felt the situation was toxic, whatever you want to call it. He wanted out, made it very clear. He wanted out, not a secret. It's what we've been reporting for 2 months. He's out, and now the Eagles have one quarterback under contract.
They have one quarterback under contract, Jalen Hurts, but they also need to have one objective going forward, something that you and I talked about a lot during the height of the Carson Wentz saga, and that's, the objective has to be, this can't ever happen again. And I think it would be wrong to think that, listen, Carson was just wired one way, Doug was wired one way, and everything is business as usual. you've just got to make sure that you check yourself in every way possible. Examine anything that you think you may have done, whether you're Jeffrey, whether you're Howie, whether you're the guy at the NovaCare who sweeps the floor, or like everybody's got to check themselves to make sure
100%.
that they're doing their job correctly and facilitating good relationships, so this doesn't happen to the next quarterback, be it Jalen Hurts or anybody else.
You know, I don't want to make this a Wentz show at all. I want to move on. I thought we did a good job of moving on a month ago, but the trade happened. It's official. This will be my last word on it. And you said it. You said that so well. Everyone involved needs to look at themselves. This is an embarrassment that didn't work out. Absolute embarrassment for the organization, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, you make the brilliant trade up. He looks like he's going to be a superstar. Had a good rookie season, if you compare, and the tape also showed it. 17 he was a superstar before he got hurt. He was on his way to being a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And then the steady regression starting really 19. And what did you do as an organization to stop it? I know you and I don't work there, but when you have someone this specially talented, you don't let this failure happen. It just bothers the hell out of me how teams let this shit happen.
I agree, and it could be very embarrassing for them if they don't pick up the pieces quickly, and Carson Wentz does big things.
Oh, if he did, well, now it's funny. They'll get a first-round pick, which is what they want, a future first-round pick, but that's a catch-22. If he plays he doesn't have to play great, obviously. He just has to play and not get benched. But if he turns out that he's close to where he was, you're right. They're going to have egg all over their face, and it's going to be hard to live that one down. I mean, I don't want to be like talk radio issue here, but you know what?
No.
That's exactly what it is.
We'll see. All right, we're going to get into some other contract news first. Make sure you're checking out our friends at phlsportsnation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all of our professional Philadelphia sports teams. Great podcasts as well. You can check out all their work. They're for the fan, by the fan, at phlsportsnation.com and on Twitter at phlsportsnation. We'll also pause real quick for a word from our other great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, and if you do stop into Sky Motor Cars, make sure you tell them that Adam and Geoff sent you.
And see the new commercial. Fantastic. Yeah, what a beautiful showroom. I actually, the one that I did for them should be released soon. I got to check up on that. We filmed that like 6 weeks ago, but
oh, cool.
The cars are beautiful, and the thing that I love about I've done 3 or 4 transactions through them. The easiest car buying experience and selling experience of my life. I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
I would go there if they weren't a sponsor. They're just the easiest thing. Brett Scholder is wonderful, the owner. Their salespeople are great. It's easy in, easy out, right off 202 in Westchester, PA. And by the way, folks, if you're listening to us in California, they ship. In fact, I think they do more business by the internet than they do locally, and they do a great local business. It's pretty incredible, this internet car buying. Who knew? I didn't know anything about it.
No, you can pretty much buy anything on the internet now. Speaking of shipped, good segue to Alshon Jeffrey and Malik Jackson, because they're going to be shipped out. It's been announced. They've been released. Now, somebody asked us this. I thought we explained it, but that's okay. It may be a new listener, but they had their contracts restructured like a lot of others. They were the first to do it. But Adam, they had it restructured in a manner that would expedite their release to make them free agents at this time and not later. And it also gives the Eagles, I guess it gives the Eagles cap release because they will mark it as post June 1, or is that not official yet?
It's interesting. I don't know why they did this. They didn't release them by 4 p.m. Eastern. They did it. They had to be released by the end of business, actually by 12:59 p.m. Eastern, or they have this crazy structure. The $2 million base salary, which was the reduction of Alshon's base salary, would be fully guaranteed. But the big one was they had a dummy salary of $25 million for 2022. That base salary would have been fully guaranteed on the second day of free agency, would be Thursday.
Can you imagine if an accident, like a clerical error,
happened?
And they owe these guys $25 million?
Elvis Dumerville. The facts. The facts. Yes, exactly. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Hurry
That's
up,
the
get
fact.
over there, put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine. Who uses faxes? I do.
Right. Right. But the bottom line is we knew that Malik and Alshon were not going to be on the team going forward.
Yeah.
I guess so there will still be dead money.
Yeah, there will be.
From their
It depends.
contracts.
Right. It depends how they designate it. It's 11 million straight. If they half it with post June 1, obviously they could do that.
Right.
That's Alshon's. And then Malik had the exact same structure. 2 million this year, next year, $25 million base salary, which is fake. Real if he's on the roster on Thursday, which he's not. So that the transaction will be official actually on Thursday that they announced it, because they did it after 4 p.m. Eastern. He's got a little bit more dead money, over 12 million. And that's that, man. They're now ex-Eagles, and they're under the cap and all that, so they are gone.
All right, Derek Barnett, he's on he's on the roster. That means his 10.2 million is going to be fully guaranteed.
10.051. Yeah.
Right. So even if they cut him, he's guaranteed that money, correct?
Yeah, they're not cut. Obviously, they're not cut. There's zero chance. We talked about this.
Right. But
yeah,
isn't that something that's on the table to change in the next CBA? That's
sure.
not going to be a guaranteed money anymore.
Well, yeah, no, actually, in the new, his contract was on the old CBA.
That's what it was. It's already changed. You're right. He was among the last.
Okay. Right. So what happens is, in the last year, your 5th-year option is only guaranteed for injury. But if you're on the roster the first day of free agency, your salary, in this case is 10.051 million, becomes fully guaranteed, which it is now. We previewed this last week. We said what we're hearing is that they're okay with him being on the roster with his salary, and it's akin to Nelson Aguilar 2 years ago. We were shocked. We're like, how are they going to keep him on the roster when they made him available for trade? I forget what the circumstances were in 19, where they lay on depth or whatever the situation was. They left him on the roster and they let him play it out. It was just over 9 million. And okay. And then he walked. Okay. Now, maybe they're doing this for compensatory purposes. As you said, you mentioned this before, and I think it's a good point. It's not like they can't still extend his contract at some point.
Right.
And the lower his base salary. I thought a year ago, it turned out to be wrong. I thought they were going to do it. I thought there was no way they would let him play at 10.051 million. Turns out I was wrong.
Well, there's some benefit if they can, obviously move Zach Ertz. We'll get into that. Get under the cap even more than they are now, and not have to give Barnett an extension because maybe they're not sold. Then that's good for them. I mean, it's bad if he has if he has a really good year, because then he's up against free agency and you have to overpay a little bit to keep him. But if he has a really good year,
that's a good thing, though. Trust me.
Yeah, you'll be all right with that. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. If he has a good year, they'll be happy to pay. Believe me. And here's the thing with Barnett. I said this the last show. I don't know how good he is.
I agree. I think there's I feel like I know how good he is. I just don't know how durable he can be. When I say I know how good he is, I don't think he'll ever be, unless he gets lucky one year. Sometimes that happens.
Give me a
15 to 18 sacks. I feel
no. But
he's a Brandon Graham type of player.
He ain't in Brandon Graham's. He ain't even close.
Because he hasn't. He improved last year against the run. He's got better bend than Brandon Graham.
He does, but he doesn't.
He doesn't have as good bull rush.
Right, but Brandon I'd have to look it up. Brandon, once he matured and put the immaturity after year 1, year 2, and put everything behind him, obviously became really good. But Brandon's juice to go after his relentlessness, his leadership. Barnett flashes, and then he
but down. That was Brandon Graham for 5 years before Brandon Graham became Brandon Graham. So
Brandon, I don't see Derek. Yeah, but I don't see Derek going inside. He doesn't have Brandon's versatility. I hear you, because when he flashes, he uses what you're talking about, the bend, but he doesn't sustain anything. That's been the problem. He's been okay, so this will be his 5th year.
Yeah, I know, but you're asking me
to wait for this guy.
Hold on. Your question to me is, what do I envision him at his best?
Go ahead. Yeah. What do you envision? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're asking me if he puts it together and becomes the consistent player they thought he'd be when they drafted him. I guess I'm thinking more numerically, Adam. I'm thinking he can be a guy that's going to get you 8.5 to 10.5 sacks, a pretty good amount of tackles for a loss if he plays 16 games. You're right. He will not be someone who moves in, so he's not going to be as versatile. But he has a chance to probably. I think he has a chance if he recognizes potential to have a little bit more sacks in one season because he's got the elite bend to him. He just has to stay healthy and show it.
Yeah, so. We don't see it. You might see 2 good games in a row, and then that's it.
Of course,
and he's quiet, and yeah. So he enters his 5th year. Right now, he's on the roster. We reported, folks, if you're new to our show, we reported the trade deadline that Seattle called amongst a bunch of teams, and they were told no, he's not available. But my point is this, though. So if you're not going to make him available at the trade deadline in October, but you're not extending him now, what kind of signal are you giving? Like, what do you think this guy is as a player? I don't know.
It becomes a very expensive prove it deal, right? A 1 year, $10 million.
Like Aguilar. Yeah, like Aguilar. I would say,
much.
It's just $1 million more. So we'll see. Marquise Goodwin, they get the 7th rounder instead of the 6th that they were going to give up last year. Remember, there were conditions on the trade. There were some certain conditions on the trade for them to get a 6th. He didn't play last year,
right?
And they could not agree to a restructuring here, so he's sent back to the Niners, and the Niners cut him immediately once he got reverted. But the Eagles now have an extra 7th rounder. They have 11 picks now.
What was his cap number, Adam?
Oh yeah, actually, this is big. Glad you asked. $4.45 million. So they get it all back. It's all cash, $3.95 million in cash, base salary.
Was that his base salary, 3.95?
Yes.
So why do you think I would, if I'm his agent and I'm him, I'm thinking that the reason I'm not agreeing to a restructure is that I think that if I get reverted back and then cut, that I can make more than 3.95 million.
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, is there any other rational explanation for not just taking the restructure?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how much the Eagles wanted him. I don't know what the discussions were like. I just know this: they're getting $395 back plus the $500,000 and per game roster bonuses. That's back. It's a pretty good chunk of change there. $4.45 million. You could sign 2 veterans for this season with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So he's gone, and he now officially leapfrogs Frank Gore. And who else were we talking about lately to be Eagles but not Eagles?
Did you see? These fans are unbelievable. So Schefter and I put the scoop out in God, has it been 6 years? This is what I said on Twitter. 2015. I remember working on that story. We were pretty excited because Frank Gore is a great, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a great football player, great guy. And he had agreed to a deal, but obviously you can't sign in this open period. Then he changed his mind. And, people would make fun of me. You were wrong. You were wrong. I was like, no, he changed his mind,
I guess
they keep retweeting it every year. They find the Sports Center tweet.
Yeah.
And I finally commented on it. I'm like, has it been 6 years? I cannot believe it.
Well, you know why he changed his mind, right? I mean, LaShawn
McCoy
about
was Chip.
Like,
I don't,
buddy.
Well, there was something about Chip. The word that we had heard, he had some kind of. Again, this is 6 years ago. I'm piecemealing this, but I do remember he got some information. He just decided, I'm not coming here.
Yeah.
To Philly, but hey, he hasn't retired yet.
No,
in fact, playing college football.
Speaking of Chip, by the way,
yeah.
The only year he was in charge of the draft, 1st round pick Nelson Aguilar, 2nd round pick Eric Rowe, 3rd round pick Jordan Hicks. Guess what? They're all starters on multi-year deals now. Eric Rowe has moved to safety, which is something the Eagles did not have the foresight to do.
Blame Jim Schwartz on that one, though.
Oh, I definitely do. I mean, look, he loved Jalen Mills. Okay, so keep Jalen Mills and move Eric Rowe to safety. You didn't. Again, I like to call BS out when it's said because it has to be. But Howie Roseman that day sits there and tells the media that, well, we didn't see Eric Rowe as someone we were going to sign to an extension after 3 years, so we felt we should get the value now. And
that was ridiculous.
That's after 1 year of playing, but he's the same GM, like any GM, who tells you need 3 years to really properly evaluate it.
I didn't understand that. That's one that I'm sure Howie would like to have back. I was like, what?
Yeah. Anyway. Well, on the hierarchy, we got quarterback factory that just leapfrogged.
But see, that one I understood because if when Sudfeld looked like he was going to be a player, then obviously those coaches who developed him left. Wentz, we thought was a player. He may be again.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick Foles, obviously, okay.
Yeah.
Looked like they might, and then the dominoes fell, and what a complete 180 that quarterback group is. Unbelievable.
It is. It's
By the
very
way,
surreal.
Hashtag coaching matters. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, coaching does matter. All right, we're gonna get into some more Eagles free agency news, but first, Adam, March's biggest tournament is finally here. Now we don't know who's going to be cutting down the nets, but we do know that there will be no shortage of madness. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new users in the center of the action. All you got to do is bet $4 on an underdog to win $256 if they win. It's just that simple. Turning $4 into $256 is 64-1 odds. You can't beat those kind of odds, 64-1 odds, right? Every dollar you bet could turn into $64. So pick one of the selected college basketball underdogs for your shot at winning $256, and all it takes is a $4 bet. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. And don't worry if college basketball is not for you, because DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds boosts and promotions on golf, hockey, and so much more. DraftKings is safe, secure, reliable. They allows you to deposit your money and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code ITB when you sign up to turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choice pulls off the upset, and then you use the code ITB to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Got to be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only, restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Of course, see DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. So, Adam, we talked about this in the live stream. We talked about it in the last podcast. The Eagles definitely need to address the quarterback situation here. Tyrod Taylor, who had familiarity with the staff, has signed with Houston. You've got...
Don't think they ran on him, by the way. I didn't get the impression they ran on him.
No, okay. But Jacoby Brissett, who you had heard that they were interested in,
they're interested,
but in Miami.
Yeah. I just get the feeling I'll say this about the Eagles in the backup quarterback position, because they said it last year, and based on what I'm hearing, it's pretty much the same thing. They don't want to spend a lot of money on the backup.
Clearly.
Whatever that's going to entail, and we'll see over the next couple weeks if whatever they do. They're going to sign a veteran. Joe Flacco is a guy that I'm told pretty strongly they have interest in. Again, they did last year, and certain things happen which I don't know what to say. The Peterson saying that he told Sudfeld he's going to be the backup, which was foolish. Never should have done that. That was a mistake. Communication with Peterson, Doug, the front office, foolish. I don't understand how that. They were interested in Flacco. I understand he needed neck surgery. I get that, but there was just some kind of communication issue last year why Flacco wasn't coming here. Probably in the end it was the neck, but anyway, why Doug Peterson said that he thought Sudfeld would be ready to be the backup after he struggled the year before that is beyond belief. I don't get that, but they're interested again. I still think he goes back to the Jets. I heard that Jets have interest in bringing it back. We'll see what happens. So if he doesn't go to the Jets, I certainly could see him coming here. Quite frankly, if you look at the list of backup quarterbacks that are out there, Alex Smith, doesn't throw the ball downfield. I understand now this is going to be more of a West Coast system. We'll get into their offense in the future weeks, but it's going to be more West Coasty, lack for better phrasing, than probably under Peterson. You got Flacco, as I mentioned. Tyrod Taylor's gone. Colt McCoy, forget about it. Blaine Gabbert is inconsistent, athlete, arm, never plays up to his talent. Trubisky's not on the radar, I was told. So I don't know.
Well, let's be fair. You get what you pay for. If your philosophy is you're really not going to spend that much money on backup quarterback, you can't dismiss guys who are like Blaine Gabbert, who are inconsistent, because you're paying for an inconsistent quarterback.
That's true. There's a reason why they're out there, folks. Hello.
Just putting two and two together here.
Yeah, I can't argue, counselor. You got me.
So here's what I think that the Eagles should do, because I agree with you.
Hoyer's out there. Brian Hoyer's out there. Who by the way, they've had interest in him in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was with the Colts 2 years ago, right? So
that's a great point. Yes. Why not him?
All right. Good name. I think I agree with you that as much as we make fun of Howie for the quarterback factory comment, the philosophy, not drafting a backup in the second round, but the philosophy of wanting to have as many and develop is sound. And so as I look at the Eagles now, you've got Jalen Hurts. I do think they have to sign a backup, a veteran backup. And I think that they should still continue to draft at that position, not first or second round, unless of course it's like, 6 overall and they fall in love with a guy, but who knows? But my point is, 4th round, 5th round, it's okay to draft another young developmental quarterback. Sure. I mean, like you might look, the Jaguars got something out of Gardner Minshew for a little while, and
he was a 6th round pick, and he had something like 6 or 7 AFC Offensive Rookie of the Week awards. Now, obviously, DeFilippo coached him.
Right.
This guy's maybe the best quarterback developer in the National Football League. He's now in Chicago.
Right.
But you make a fair point. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's kind of what I have. And Geoff and I just went over those names. And what else we got at quarterback?
Well, obviously, there's the report from CBS, right? That and I don't have it word for word on how it was worded, but they basically said, don't count the Eagles out of a Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. And Adam, it's something I've checked into with a few people, and from what I understand, that's fair. I mean, that the Eagles are aggressive, that they've shown the kind of interest you would expect any team with an uncertain quarterback situation going on to show. I think things are going to you can add to it, but obviously as we get closer to the draft and as it becomes more and more clear that Deshaun Watson ain't buying what they're selling, things are going to heat up, I imagine.
Yeah, and then he's got, unfortunately, a pending legal issue, which we're not really going to get into, but folks, you could, if you're alive, you probably know about it. So that thing, that would obviously have to curtail until it's cleared up, his future. Look, he's 50% of the way out. He wants out. I'm told he has not backed off, won't back off. Mm-hmm. The team has told anyone who's calling, he's not available. We'll see after this news that came out this week with the off the field accusation. We'll see what happens there. So if I've read Howie Roseman right at all in his career, I'd be shocked if he didn't call. It would not be like him not to call, to check in, to see what's up. You just have to. I just can't imagine let's put the Watson stuff off the field to the side here. I'm talking over the last 4 to 6 weeks when this Watson stuff broke about him wanting out. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine he wouldn't call. You have to call. You just have to call. You have to
absolutely have to call. Right. Yeah. I agree with you. So here's another element to it, because I was asked on our 97.3 ESPN interview with Mike Gill, but what about Jeffrey kind of making the mandate that the team is going to have to, team should build around Jalen Hurts? And I said, well, yes, but you have to understand, like anybody who knows what's going on here, you don't just limit yourself to option A and then dismiss every single option. If Jalen Hurts is on the roster and he's your guy, then you build around him, right? But if there's a scenario, you've heard Jeffrey and Howie talk about wanting to have you have to have an elite offense, top 5 offense. If you have the opportunity to go get a guy who's widely recognized as a top 3 quarterback in the league, and you have the ammunition to get it,
oh yeah, for sure,
then you do it. And of course,
absolutely,
there's a potential. This is just my sense, right? There's a potential that if you are making a deal for Deshaun Watson, that Jalen Hurts might have to be included. So if you include him, you obviously can't build around him.
Yeah,
so I don't think Jeffrey's a hypocrite here. I think he's just presenting 2 alternate scenarios that might
Texans
exist.
would need, obviously, would want a quarterback back, I would think, and obviously Hurts is the only guy under contract, so that's something we're going to monitor as the days and weeks go by, and we just don't know enough about the Watson off the field thing, right? That situation. So that one we'll monitor, and then we had questions about running back. I'll say this. They're going to do something. If I had a bet, I would think it would be in the draft because they have 11 picks. And it's going to be a running back with size. I would expect them to get that. We now more than as much as I like Boston Scott, he proved last year he's a number 3. He's not a number 2 running back. He's just not. He's a changeup. You could use him in certain formations and so forth. He's a good football player. He's a good find for the Eagles. He just is not a guy that if Sanders can't play, he's not a guy that's going to carry the mail. I just don't see it.
So do you think this is, I mean, is this a free agent signing or do you just wait for the draft and try to get a big back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at what's out there. Yeah, I'm looking at what's out there. There's some good ones. They're really some good ones, but the problem is it's either the guys who cost a lot of money, like Kenyon Drake, Chris Carson. James White's an outstanding third down back, but he's not a guy who can carry the ball a lot. James Conner, injury history, really talented. It's going to cost money. Fournette's going to cost money. And then you've got Le'Veon Bell looks washed up to me. I don't know why you'd want him. Looks like, I mean, he's nearing 30. I don't see it. Todd Gurley can't play anymore. He looks like he's toast.
Oh, come on. Todd had a pretty good year last year. What do you have?
Touchdowns. Greg, I say this in all due respect. Listen to Greg Cosell talk about him. You won't say that again. He was awful. He was
just basically sniping goal line touchdowns.
All he did. You nailed it. He can't. He looks. It's so sad.
I know, but to be fair, it's not just that was he not among the top like 6?
He was with touchdown goal. You're right.
No, even rushing. I thought his rushing yards were pretty good.
But
too.
He was so bad running the football. He's got a hitch because of his knee.
Wow.
It's really difficult to watch him. After Greg came on our fantasy show on Sirius, I watched the coaching tape. I'm like, oh my God, he's not kidding.
Well, hey, that's why we're bringing Greg in to evaluate the draft starting March 30th.
He watches more tape than any NFL team does because he sees every team. There's really no pro personnel guys that I know that do that because they're assigned certain teams. I don't know that there's any pro guy that watches every team. And Greg tries not to be overly critical, but he's talking about what he looks like. Like when he told us about Leonard Fournette, he when Fournette was struggling, he said he tiptoes. He doesn't hit it up in there. So we called him the tiptoer, Leonard Fournette, because it would. We want to say, Greg, was he tiptoeing this week? But anyway, yeah, it's forget Gurley. Mike Davis is tremendous last season. He's going to cost some money. I'm told the Panthers want him back. Jerick McKinnon's out there, but he's had an injury history. Dante Freeman looked like he was toast.
Right.
Wayne Gallman. Why did the Giants want him back?
I don't know. Didn't they also sign a different running back?
They signed Devontae Booker.
Wow, they must have seen that. Must be something that they saw that they didn't like. I don't know what, but they must.
Good, right? Exactly.
I mean, these the way running backs are fungible. It's kind of strange that they would, bring in one guy at one price and then
right. Speaking of the fungibility, there are so many running backs out there. They could just wait. They only need one. They must. If I were them, I'd wait a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 10 guys you could sign, and Duke Johnson's out there be strictly a third down back. I don't know what Bill O'Brien was thinking of giving up a third down, giving a third round pick for a third down back. That was a mistake.
One of his many.
What's that?
One of his many.
Yeah,
mistakes.
yeah. He's an interesting player, but I don't see the Eagles doing it, even though they wouldn't have to give up anything for him because he got the low tender.
Mm-hmm.
Although the Broncos had a right of first refusal is Philip Lindsay.
Yeah.
But he's a changeup. I don't
know if he's like kind of the thumper that they want with Miles Sanders, right?
You got it. Exactly what I was thinking. So
it's too bad because he's a good player. I mean, I like
it's great story as an undrafted free agent. And former Eagles pro personnel director Mike McCartney represents him.
Not Mike McCarthy, who gets
I know. That's another what Geoff is referring to. For folks who don't know this, maybe 5 people know this who are listening, but it's worth discussing for 30 seconds. For some reason, Cowboy fans and Packer fans over the years confuse Mike McCartney, the agent, with Mike McCarthy, the head coach. It became so ridiculous. Mike McCartney, played along with it. But the crazy thing was they would tweet at him during games and thinking he's Mike McCarthy, the head coach.
And it would be abusive tweets. And he would just take it so well and respond to it.
Right. And Mike would retweet him. This is the great Bill McCartney's, the former head coach of Colorado's son.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to be so crazy. Mike would be interviewed, and there's a great ESPN.com article on it. It's just the internet, man. Twitter's crazy. People are just
the best part of it is when Mike McCartney would respond in the middle of a game, as you just mentioned, to something Mike McCarthy did, and then the person that he's responding to would get even more mad. And I say, I can't believe you're doing this in the middle of a game.
This is unbelievable. And the great thing is, I would respond. I go, "This is not happening. This is not happening. You didn't really say this. Like,
I tell you,
you know, people." And the funny thing would be, when they'd figured out that Mike was, putting him on, they felt so ashamed and so embarrassed. I think they delete all their tweets. It's just hilarious.
Twitter is an alternate universe, man. I tell you, it is. It's just a crazy place.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing we'll wrap it up with. This was interesting, right? Lane Johnson is the only guy who didn't on the offense. Oh yeah. Two things. Lane Johnson and Zach.
Yeah.
Actually, let's go to Zach first.
Okay.
I think the Chargers, man, are a team. The Chargers and the Bills kind of really stick out to me as teams that can get this done. But I don't think Howie has to hurry, right? I mean,
no, there's no guaranteed money. I mean, it's nothing. There's no roster conversion. There's no roster. There's nothing. The Eagles are in the driver's seat in terms of when they want to do this, and I know they want to do right by Zach, but there's no off-season program. Like, you don't. I get it from a player standpoint. You just want it over and done with. If I'm in Zach's shoes, I know I'm not coming back. There's no chance of it. So let's just get this over with. But from a club standpoint, they own his rights. He's on the last year of his deal. They're willing to take on the cap number right now. So they're like, well, we don't need to do anything. When we get what we want, this is a prediction, folks, bloggers out there. I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is a guess. I think at the end, they're going to wind up with a 4th-round pick. I asked a bunch of personnel people around the National Football League that I trust. They said there's no way they'll get a 3. One guy said at 5, it could be a 4. He said he doesn't think there's anything better out there than a 5th or 6th. This is a guess based on what people think. And one guy said, I trust. He says, he goes, I bet you Howie would take a 4th right now if he could get it. Because he goes, that's why it's not getting done. This is an opinion, not a fact. It's just people's opinions. So anyway, he's clearly Howie's not getting anything that he wants, because if he did, he would trade him. So
right. That's pretty interesting. It's amazing to me that the Eagles have one guy under contract who's not an albatross for them. That there's no bonus deadline or any kind of money.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's funny.
He's the one.
Zach had his contract restructured 17, 18, 19
times.
Yeah, right. By the way, folks, I would love if any of the smart people out there know this. I would love to know what the record for contract restructures for an NFL team is. The Eagles aren't close. I don't know what the hell is. Who didn't they restructure? Jesus Christ.
By the way, we joked last week that Rodney McLeod, hey, that's one guy that they didn't restructure. And then he got restructured.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah. I didn't get the details. I tried to get them. I didn't get them. I have everything else, but we'll have them for last. We'll have it for Monday's show, just to laugh. But Rodney's great. I'm glad he's coming back from the ACL, and good guy. You and I met him at an event. Really good guy.
Right.
But it's unbelievable with these restructures. Anyway,
it really is. A 4th would be good for Zach. Like we had reported, we both heard a while back that the Eagles were looking for a 3. You always start at the high end and try to get that.
Yeah.
I don't think they would settle for something really low either, right? Again, because they're not in a hurry and
take it to the draft.
Teams need tight ends.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like your point about the Chargers and the Bills. The Bills cleared up a lot of cap space. They also did a bunch of extensions. Tyler Kroft is up. They don't really have a lot of guys at tight end. Lee Smith, they traded him. They would have cut him anyway. Either way, they found a home for him. So the only guys they have
the all-time saves leader, Lee Smith, right?
Oh yeah, right. The former Cubs and Cardinals.
Cardinals, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But Dawson Knox, who I love, but has had some injuries. They got just a couple of bottom of the end guys. Yeah, they definitely need a tight end. I just we'll keep an eye on for you, folks. Don't know exactly what they're going to get, but I had someone I trust from another team tell me that he thinks in the end that Howie will take a fourth and be done with it. Well,
Yeah.
they haven't gotten that. I know for a fact they've not gotten an offer for a fourth.
Well, all right. We'll see as the time goes on.
Yeah.
So offensive line news, and it was really interesting. I've been just kind of because Lane Johnson did not get a restructure. He's one of the few that you thought it was going to happen, then it didn't happen, and he's coming off the ankle. And I've been poking around with a few teams, just asking a few teams that I think are looking for offensive line help. Like, what do you think of the Eagles situation? Any of these guys you think might be available? Because you remember, I've been kind of just openly pondering on the podcast, for I guess a couple of weeks, maybe a couple months now. Would Brandon Brooks be somebody that the team would be willing to move because they've got some guy like Jack Driscoll and they can move around and he's coming off injuries? And so I've been poking around asking about Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson. And the only feedback that I've gotten is some teams are wondering the same thing. Like, are these guys available? And wondering if a guy like Lane, who didn't get his contract restructured again, would be available. But I mean, I know we just talked about the numbers here on his contract still make it very difficult, whether it's Brandon or Lane, right? I mean, the dead money would be pretty big on both of them.
It'd be enormous. It'd be over 30 million. I don't see it. I mean, look, I put it never say never. The only reason why I said earlier this week when we talked about it, I don't see it ever happening, is because of the dead money. I don't even know what to say about this dead money. I'm just so blown away with the future. We'll deal with this in June when we'll do a dead money show because it's comical.
But we don't want to make the same mistake twice. Sort of, we never thought during the season Carson Wentz would be moved because of the
Sure. No,
I don't want to rule anything out.
No, I'm not ruling it. I'm not ruling out. I think I'm actually changing my mind. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just gonna say I think you would probably ask for, because you have to take such a massive hit, you'd want some pretty good value in return for either of those guys.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know how it's. I don't know how it would work. It's just the dead money is just ridiculous. I don't know. We'll monitor and we'll look into it. But the problem is his voidables, Geoff, go to 2028. What are
2020? Am I going to be alive in 2020?
Hey. But that's why I'm like, I don't know. I've been shocked before, but I just don't see it. But what the hell do I know? We'll look into it.
28?
Yep.
There's some kid in high school right now who's like a 3-star recruit in Northwest Oklahoma, who's going to be an Eagle in 2028 or something like that. That's crazy.
So that's that. So we'll talk more about it Monday, guys.
All right, we will get into that more. That's going to wrap it up. That'll do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. I want to give a big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. You can check him out on YouTube. His channel is called Sports Talk with Broads, and he's on Twitter at Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.